Today's a very special day. I met Larry Mitchum some 20 years ago.
25.
25. Larry was an educated scientist. He has his master's degree in polymer engineering, and he was a committed evolutionist. But when he heard the truth, there was a shock in his entire demeanor. He became a fast friend, and in addition to being a scientist, he is now a theologian with a Doctor of Ministries degree from Pacific International University. He co-authored a very fine book. Some years ago, Dr. Clifford Wilson became my mentor and a very fast friend. He is now home with the Lord. Dr. Wilson was an educator listed among America's top educators, lecturing at the University of North Carolina. But he also established the archaeology, the very first bona fide credentialed archaeology entity in Australia, his parent home. And later became an educator there and established, he was a psychologist as well as being an archaeologist, established an entity there that is still going in the educational system. He affected me and he affected Larry. Dr. Larry Mitchum is the individual who was chosen to complete the full dimensional replica of the Moabite Stone, the Misha Stele. And you will learn from him, and during the question and answer period, you will find that this is one of the most important ancient documents in existence. Larry will explain where the original is and where the handful of replicas are. I will leave that for him to describe to you. This year, we're opening the year with the unveiling of one of the world's greatest archaeological points of evidence to confirm the Bible, the Word of God. Today, we open the unveiling and the introduction of this entire series with a Moabite Stone lecture by our friend, Dr. Larry Mitchum. Would you please welcome Larry?
Thank you very much. Good to be here. It's a blessing to be here. Well, good to see you guys. Everybody doing okay so far this year?
Yes.
All right. So far, no big blips on the radar, at least not yet. We're all looking good here. See a lot of happy, smiling faces. Well, today, this is as Carl said, this is a real exciting artifact. This is not a fossil. This museum is all about fossils. There are some artifacts here. This is an artifact. They're a little different, something man-made. But it is what I call a piece of light. Light is that thing that allows us to see truth, okay? And I believe it's in Matthew 13. It says, "He who has light and shares it will be given more, and he who has light and does not accept it, not only will he not be given more, some will actually be taken away from him." So when I saw this, I wasn't too crazy about doing this job because this is a lot of body work here. This was a big, big chunk of polymer. There's about 7 different polymers we used to create this. And it wasn't that exciting, but when I got into it, I started studying the face of this and the text that's on the front of it. And I don't know if you caught from Carl's introduction, I wrote the book on September 11 in the Bible Code, the Torah codes. And in that, I got fairly fluent in, not fluent, but able to read modern Hebrew, which is relatively simple if you get down to it, 22 basic characters and some finials. And from that, I spun off into the Moabite language, and we'll talk about that more later, which is almost identical to ancient Hebrew and ancient Phoenician. So today I'm going to teach you how to read ancient Phoenician. Is that okay?
Yes. Okay.
At least a few words. At least a few words. And that's pretty pretty exciting to see what's on this rock. Well, let's just get into it and talk about Moabites here. Before I unveil it, I want to give you a little history on the stone. And the question that the stone really solves is basic in every Christian's heart, and it's definitely basic in every lost person's heart. Is the Bible really for real? I mean, you read some of that stuff about floating axe heads and giants 9 feet tall and people killing giants with slingshots and waters parting. And it kind of sounds a little far out there, doesn't it? In fact, even Hollywood sometimes has to trump it down a little bit just to keep the realism in. It's one book source they can create a movie about without having to embellish. The embellishment is already in it. But is there something that we have that tells us that all that stuff really happened? And what about all the places that are discussed in the Bible and the people? And this is one artifact that does that. And I've been hesitant to come here and speak sometimes because the heckling load was really bad. You know, Carl would have busloads of people come down from Dallas to just heckle the presentations here. This is one stone they don't really want to heckle. Why? Because there's a copy of it in the Louvre. And there was a copy in the British Museum. And these are secular entities that are supporting and housing this relic, this artifact. So there's no argument the stone exists. See, that's a huge step away from the Alvis Delt track or the Jap Dino track or some of the other fossils we have that we're claiming show a young Earth and so on and so on. So we're on even footing right at the get-go.